So I think we need to acknowledge stuff like that. So again, big shout outs to Byron Rushing for pointing out to me in social media that the big homie Russell Holmes was part of that movement. He was on the front line on the argument of why it's important to change the name Yahweh. Because like I said, oftentimes when we argue, and not argue, but we debate, and we do what good citizens, active citizens should do. We fight for what we believe is right, what we believe is just, what we believe makes a better Boston. And then when they do it, and when it comes through, well, that's what they should have did. They did the right thing anyway. They didn't change anyway. And then we move on. The other side, they celebrate their win because it motivates folks to work that much harder the next time around. It might move some folks who was on the sideline on this issues to get involved on the next issues because they see that all hope is not lost. We can make a difference. We can make a change. So we need to celebrate. We can't just say, well, they did the right thing or it should have. It was a unanimous decision, and I think it says a lot about Boston. It says that people power matters. When public figures like a Tito Jackson, elected officials like a Byron Rushing, folks like a Russell Holmes, organizations like the NAACP, big shout out to the sister that's heading it now. I think when folks like that stand up, it gives people of color, black, brown, and yellow, hope that our representatives are going to be on our sides on all issues, cultural issues. And when you have an average net worth for a family of $8, you don't have a lot of things, so your cultural stuff kind of matters to you. These things kind of, to know that a win is a win. So we need to celebrate it. We need to acknowledge it. And at the same time, we need to talk about what it represents. For the last 6 months, my Twitter feed in circles that sometimes I try to avoid, everybody was celebrating the fact that we have the most diverse city council ever. Still a white male-dominated council, but they celebrated not that diversity will change Boston, but they celebrated almost as cover for what the council will not do. What's the point in having the most diverse city council ever that I should note has no male of color on it if when the first issue that diversity can make a difference on, which is Yahweh, it's the renaming of a city street. The most diverse city council was missing in action. Russell Holmes is not on the city council. Tito Jackson no longer on the city council. Byron Rushing not on the city council. So all of that diversity, and no disrespect to the sisters of all colors, but they were missing in action. They didn't have the courage to stand up and say, we believe in a better Boston. We need to turn the page. This matters. When folks of color go to Fenway Park, they need to feel welcomed. They weren't willing to do that. They didn't want to ruffle the feathers of the big money foundation. They didn't have the courage to put the folks who elected them, the folks who they wanted to celebrate diversity, on a city council that really just have a bully pulpit. It's not really a powerful city council. All of the power lies with the mayor. So they failed us. They failed to live up to the diversity that they wanted us to celebrate. So let's celebrate the brothers who did. Let's celebrate the brothers who did. And again, we can still acknowledge the accomplishments of a diversity council that has a lot of women of color on it, and at the same time point out that the council is lacking diversity because it doesn't have a male perspective of color on it. And in this case, it was obvious because the black males who hold current and past elected office, they were there for us on this issue. The women were not. And I'm not afraid to say it. I'm not politically correct. I don't worry about a PC police. And also what it shows is, by the way, is Boston Magazine and that crowd, they had the top 100 most influential in the city of Boston. And I think it was at 51 or something like that. They had Amy Pastor. And what they noted is, rightfully so, I guess, they said if Yahweh name is not changed, and I'm almost positive that they believed it would not be changed, that it would show the power, that's the word they use, power, of Amy Pastor Ray Hammond, who was out there, not as a Dr. King type figure, not somebody that had the backs of black folks, not as a preacher of what they like to celebrate as the first black congregation, but they celebrate him as a pastor that preaches to Boston's elite. But they said, well, if Yahweh name is not changed, it's going to show the power of Ray Hammond. Well, I guess he has no power. He has no influence, because the decision was unanimous. What it shows is that regular people power matters. That elite crowd that made up that 100, and I've been asking folks everywhere, up and down the list, outside of a few elected officials, nobody know who these people are. They don't influence us. They run us. They govern us like folks do a plantation. To influence someone, they got to know who you are. They got to know what you stand for. They got to know what you were saying. They got to know what you do. Those folks don't influence Boston majority minority. They dictate. They govern. They rule. It's not a list to celebrate. I don't celebrate them, and nor should you. What we should celebrate is the Russell Holmes, the Byron Rushings, the Tito Jackson, And to his credit, although he was MIA as well, he wasn't out front. He didn't want to upset those who were peddling nativists and feeding on implicit bias of white Bostonians to garner support for Yawkey Way. So as a result, the mayor was MIA. But the fact that this was a unanimous decision shouldn't be mistaken that the mayor didn't have a hand in it. This is his hand-picked commission. So he deserves some credit, not for having the courage to come out front and lead on race instead of just having conversation on race, because he doesn't want his fingerprint on it, because he doesn't want to get the blowback from the elite crowd. He doesn't want to have the Fitzgeralds of the Herald to think that he sided with the Negroes versus his type, which is what they were writing in the Herald. But let's give him a little credit, because obviously behind the scenes, he let it known where he want to see Boston. I mean, maybe it's for a political reason. Maybe it would be a big embarrassment. It wouldn't help with Amazon coming to a city that still embraces racists of the past. So whatever the reason is, give the man some credit. I do. 617-440-877 is the number. Streaming live, B87FM.com, or on TuneIn app and Radio FM platform all over the place. Look out for that B87 Play app as well. Boston Unapologetic Urban Voice. We're the only one that's talking truth to power. Everybody else, they're just peddling buffoonery at our expense. Notorious in the morning. I wake your ass up morning show. We'll be right back.
More Notorious in the morning on the way.